I just wanted to check in because I finished the, you know, Rising Sphinx dog stretch. I
Okay,
think.
okay.
I mean, I've done 7 rounds of it, and it feels pretty. I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of change each time now. I did a lot of
Hmm.
the diamond penetration on it, but what has shown up that I think is part of it is uh, it pulls C5 out when I think the rounding of the back and whatever the top of the shoulder blade thing is, I think pulls that out. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm thinking. And also, it's revealed again, but exaggerated. This it's the bottom of my shoulder blades and wrapping around into the front of my diaphragm. That's super tight, super tight. So that's I don't know what to do with that, but I've been trying to do deep breathing exercises and it's just painful. So I recognized as I was diaphragmatic breathing, oh, wow, that hurts back in the back where I've been noticing the pain during that rising sphinx. So then I thought, oh, I think that's all connected. And it is. It's one circular band. It's like somebody's took a key and tightened it. And
Hmm.
so that's going on, and I want to report that and find out what to do about it. Because then it tightens up everything else from the top of the shoulders into the neck, too. So there's that. And also, my legs were feeling pretty good after doing the athlete's prayer. I even danced for like an hour the other night, and I didn't really have pain. It was like phenomenal. So that was extraordinary. I'm very excited about that. But the next day, I just wore, 1.5-inch heels all day. And this has happened before, even when I don't wear heels. The that right, is that the peroneal? That's the right side of the calf, not the front of the shin, side
Yes.
of the shin.
There are 3 peroneals on the sides of the calves.
Okay, so that is hurting, and it's connected in with my ankle, the top of my foot, right where the foot and the ankle, the little L is.
Hmm.
They appear to join. So I don't know what that is and what's going on there, but those are my reports about, funk that's coming up.
Okay. So which would you like to address first?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. So what I would do if with, say, the dog stretch,
Mm-hmm.
since it lit up some places,
Yeah.
I would use it to address those places. So if you're actually having restricted breathing, I would deliberately incorporate breathing into that exercise in such a way that I engage the place that feels too tight.
So take deep breaths.
You take deep breaths, which contracts the diaphragm, and then you expel everything to relax the diaphragm. And
do I do those? When should I do the inhale? When I'm rounding my back?
No, because that's the exact opposite of the movement of breathing. You would inhale when you're arching your back.
Okay.
And your shoulders, there is a segment of the dog stretch which involves the shoulders doing what you just did just now, forward and back.
Mm-hmm.
So you deliberately bring the shoulders into a contracted position that makes you feel the place that's too tight.
Yeah.
At the stage of the movement for which that movement is appropriate. So when you're arching backward, the shoulders go back.
Right.
Use the exercise to engage that place in yourself,
Okay.
and slow down as much as is needed to get your attention to steady in the sensation before shifting direction.
Okay.
Okay. As much as possible, integrate that action with all of the other actions by balancing the efforts of all the movements being done at the same time.
Breathing. arching,
Mm-hmm.
and I can also feel it in the front of my shoulders because my head's down. It's like here too. It's sort of like a, one of those. So,
Like a halter.
yeah.
Okay. Same advice.
So when am I actually? Oh, so it's when I hump my back that my
That's the shoulders.
I would focus on my shoulders instead of on
Mm-hmm.
my back. I was focusing on my shoulder blades in the back because they were painful. Slowing it down, and it was only painful in the very first, on my fours, the very first movement, not the other ones as I was going down. I only really felt it then. I did slow it down like you suggested, and that worked. But yeah, if I go fast, I can still experience that tightness there.
Okay. So you have more learning to go. Proficiency is a condition in which we can do something we intend to do at the speed at which we wish to do it, without secondary considerations about how fast we're doing it.
But then it really triggered all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's its advantage. It's showing you where your bondage is.
Okay, so just keep doing it, but pay attention to everything you just said.
Yes, and same thing with the front of the ankle. That's a place that's directly involved in the dog stretch, the way we've been doing it.
How so?
When you were, excuse me, at the beginning, when you first started doing the movement.
When you're on all fours?
On all fours, and you were tightening the fronts of your shins to cause your ankle to lift off the ground and the tops of your feet, the dorsals, to press down.
Not in the dog stretch.
In the movement that preceded the dog stretch.
You mean the exercise that was before the dog stretch?
Right,
Oh.
Which is actually, you see how those two fit together? They're in very similar positions.
No, I don't see that at all. I was kneeling on my shins.
Yeah, when you're in the seated part of the dog stretch, you're in that same position.
Oh, but I'm only there so briefly during that exercise.
Right, make it longer.
Okay.
Use the exercise. Anytime an exercise triggers a problem, it tells us that exercise is probably the key to clearing it up.
Okay. So how do I use that?
Well, in the dog stretch, there's a position in which you're fully bowed forward. You're seated on your heels, your arms are down and flat. Well, that's the position at which you can start by contracting your shins.
My dorsiflexing.
Your dorsiflexing.
The ankles and the top of the foot again.
Yeah, it's a convenient position in which to do it.
Okay.
You can also do it from the all fours position as you're sitting down.
Okay.
With more.
Yeah. Okay. So just make that longer.
Yeah, make it longer, and before you start seating yourself onto your heels, dorsiflex your feet, tighten your shins, and then on the way down, relax them, and do so repeatedly on the way down.
Okay, wait. We're the way down.
On your way down from all fours onto sitting on your heels, do many repetitions of dorsiflexing your feet.
Okay.
Each time with you seat closer to being seated.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that is an extremely efficient way of doing that exercise.
Okay.
The part about the peroneals, that's what you were working with your hands-on work, grasping with one hand and doing the foot with the other.
Yes.
Okay. That's what, if you're having trouble in the peroneals, that's the action pattern to use. The difference being instead of going from inverted, which is the sole toward the ceiling, and going towards eversion, you do it in reverse. You start with the foot everted and progress yourself towards an inverted position.
I did that before. You mean do it again?
If you didn't get the result, you need more.
Well, maybe that's because I had a question about when I was fully everted. I didn't know, and I could feel that part of my peroneal, the problematic part, when I was everted. I didn't know whether I was supposed to, where I was supposed to apply the pressure, whether I was supposed to apply the pressure on the inverted side of the foot or on the everted side, like on the small toe side.
Small toe side, when you're moving from eversion to inversion, your hand is applying resistance from the underside.
So I'm resisting the...
Whoop, just lost your sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a little confused about that. I fully evert, which means I'm going towards the floor. I feel the stretch in my peroneal.
Whoops, it's not a stretch, it's a contraction.
I mean, contraction in my peroneal.
Okay.
And I'm putting my hand over the little toe side of the foot, and I'm trying to stop I back off slightly, and then I go back in. There's only like a quarter of an inch before I'm at the very end of the whole thing, but I don't know how to use the language for this. I push against my little fingers towards the floor, and then
your foot pushes against your hand.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Your hand matches the force in resistance.
Right, and then I let it go. I bring it back towards the ceiling.
You slowly relax, so your foot moves sole toward the ceiling. Your hand carrying your foot that direction.
Right, carries it towards the ceiling.
Okay, now I showed you a position on the floor last time where you could use your hand and your weight, putting the heel of your hand against the outer edge of your foot, and I showed you how to aim in different positions. So if you'd like to review that video, it will show you how to do that action pattern.
That was 2 videos ago, right?
I don't think it was the last one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was.
I got on the floor, and I think it was 2 of them.
Yeah, it was 2 of them.
The last one I showed you how you could do the dog stretch with the ankles and knees against each other. So it was the preceding one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's an alternative way of going at it.
All right. Okay, I didn't try that because I thought I was done.
Complement each other.
Okay. I think that was the first consult link that you put up on YouTube. Well, it was one, maybe the first or the second. I'll have to find it. Okay. And this thing with my C5 getting pulled out by, doing that rising sphinx thing, about that. It's
same thing. Whatever's wrong, make it worse, and then make it better. So when you're arching backward, you bring your head back and aim to feel that place around C5.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Yeah. And you play with the tightness. You don't be hard about it.
Right.
But that particular location, I suspect, will respond to subtle force.
If I do it hard, it's really whacked out.
Yeah, and I think what happens is other muscles come into play and substitute.
Okay.
And you don't get a clean perception of the place you need to let go of.
Okay.
So that's the handy way of using one exercise to cover a lot of bases.
All right.
If necessary, I can think right now of 2 exercise patterns that could be used to reach that. But my sense is the dog stretch is probably the most efficient way of going at it.
Okay, so just slow it way down and focus on all these other areas during that exercise. Not
focus on one at a time, though.
Oh.
Don't try to...
Like one pass, one in the morning, just focus on the neck. In the evening, focus on the calf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whatever you're working with, take one project and integrate all the movement elements with that. Okay, so don't try to do them all at once until at least you've had some practice with it. It's possible to integrate them all, but when you're doing that, you're dividing your attention.
Right.
And that decreases the potency.
Right. I'm also getting a lot of tension in my lower pelvis.
The floor?
I think so. It's like, the area just above the pubic bone, but all the way across. It's very
All
tight.
the way back?
Huh?
The pelvic sling that goes from the pubic bone to the tailbone?
No. Across hip to hip bone.
Sideways.
Yeah.
On the floor of the pelvis?
Well, the bottom of my abdomen.
Bottom of your abdomen?
Yeah, just above the pubic bone. That area. But all the way across. Really tight.
I'm familiar with that, but it requires a series of exercises to be done, and it takes you out of dealing with the issues you just brought to me. So do one thing at a time, get it handled, and then we can do the other.
Okay, it just seems to be maybe exaggerating it now. Okay. Does that make sense, that this set of movements would exaggerate that?
No. But what these movements do is reveal a person's condition.
Okay.
And where their problems are, maybe totally idiosyncratic.
Okay. All right, well, then good. I got that. And then I will know that I'm complete when this peroneal stops hurting. And my neck stops going out. And I don't feel the tight band. I should expect not to feel the tight band anymore.
Which tight band?
From the bottom of my rib cage all the way to the bottom of my shoulder blades.
If you're doing the movements with the intention of activating control of those places, then they become no problem. The result is comfort and freedom of movement.
Because the breath is going to help me locate that now.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm supposed to then go to the, because we're going to have a holiday in here, so then I'm supposed to go to the Cat 5 again.
Yeah, but I wouldn't predict too far in advance.
Okay, so I was going to ask you